Imagine a world where power isn't just the currency of empires, but the very foundation of human nature. A world where influence is not granted but seized, where the ability to shape reality is determined not by morality, but by strength, mental, emotional, and strategic. Picture a thinker so fearless, so unrelenting, that he shattered every illusion society cherishes about goodness, justice, and even truth itself. A philosopher who didn't just study human nature, but dissected it with surgical precision, exposing the raw mechanics of dominance, persuasion, and control. What if everything you've been taught about virtue, kindness, humility, selflessness, is nothing more than a mechanism of control, designed to keep you weak? What if true strength isn't about playing by the rules, but about rewriting them entirely? Today, we enter the mind of Nietzsche and the psychology of manipulation to uncover the hidden forces that shape human interactions. Because to understand influence, you must first understand power. And to understand power, you must first confront the uncomfortable truth. Are you the one pulling the strings, or are you being controlled? At the core of Nietzsche's philosophy lies an undeniable truth. Weakness is not just a flaw, it's a choice. Not a lack of ability, but a refusal to embrace the will to power. He wasn't talking about physical frailty, but something much deeper. The willingness to conform, to seek approval, to submit rather than to dominate. Patrick King, in his study of human behavior, echoes this sentiment in a modern lens. People are not manipulated because they are unintelligent. They are manipulated because they seek comfort over truth. They crave validation over independence, safety over freedom, and in that craving, they unknowingly surrender control to those who understand the art of influence. But how does this play out in your life? Think about the conversations you have, the choices you make, the way you present yourself to the world. Are you leading or are you being led? Are you shaping reality or is reality shaping you? Nietzsche argued that the greatest deception of all is slave morality, a system designed to glorify submission while demonizing power. Society teaches you that ambition is greed, assertiveness is arrogance, and rebellion is sin. Why? Because a population that obeys is easier to control than a population that thinks. Look around you. How often do we celebrate victimhood over resilience? How often is the loudest voice silenced while the compliant are rewarded? Have you ever wondered why strength is feared while mediocrity is embraced? Nietzsche believed this was no accident. The world is designed to suppress the few who dare to rise. And yet the truth remains, the strong do not ask for permission, they do not wait to be chosen, they choose themselves. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. If power is the natural state of man, then influence is the mechanism through which it is exerted. And influence, real influence, is not about force, it's about understanding how people think. This is where Patrick King's mastery of human psychology comes into play. He reveals that the most powerful individuals are not necessarily the loudest or the most aggressive. They are the ones who understand subtlety, perception, and control. Think about the last time you agreed to something you didn't want to do. Did you make the decision, or was it made for you? Were you convinced, or were you played? The most dangerous manipulation is the one you never realize is happening. But if influence can be used against you, it can also be wielded by you, and this is where the path of power begins. Nietzsche did not believe in simply resisting control, he believed in mastering it. To break free from manipulation, you must first understand it. To become immune to control, you must learn to control yourself. And here's the real question, are you ready to embrace that power? In the next part, we unravel the secrets of psychological influence, how power is gained, how people are controlled, and how you can use these principles not just to defend yourself, but to rise above the masses who blindly follow. Stay with us, because what you're about to discover may change the way you see the world forever. For centuries, we have been told that virtues like kindness, humility, and self-sacrifice are the highest ideals of humanity. We are taught to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, and to suppress our deeper desires in favor of what is deemed morally right. But what if everything you've been taught about morality is a carefully constructed illusion? Imagine waking up one day to realize that the values you've been conditioned to hold sacred were never designed to empower you, but to contain you. Imagine that the very things you have been praised for, your politeness, your compliance, your willingness to endure suffering in silence, were never signs of strength, but symptoms of weakness. This was Nietzsche's most controversial insight. Morality, as we know it, was created not by the strong, but by the weak. And worse, its true purpose was never to elevate humanity, but to control it. The hidden power of morality, a system of control. Nietzsche called it slave morality, a system of beliefs carefully crafted by the powerless to justify their own inferiority. It was designed not to uplift individuals, but to keep them in check, to ensure that they never aspired to true greatness. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why the most ambitious, assertive people are often labeled as arrogant or selfish? Why those who refuse to conform are branded as dangerous? It's because society fears strength. Society does not want you to be powerful. It wants you to be obedient. It wants you to suppress your instincts, to silence your ambitions, and to accept a life of mediocrity. Because a controlled population is an easy population to rule. Consider how this plays out in everyday life. The student who questions authority is labeled as disruptive. The entrepreneur who refuses to follow conventional paths is called reckless. The person who dares to say no to societal expectations is seen as a threat. But Nietzsche's question is simple. Who benefits from this system? Not you. The curse of weakness, how society traps you in mediocrity. Weakness, as Nietzsche saw it, is not just a personal failing. It is an epidemic, a sickness that spreads through cultures and institutions, reinforcing itself generation after generation. You see it in the way people apologize for their success, as if ambition is something to be ashamed of. You see it in the way mediocrity is celebrated while excellence is met with suspicion. You see it in the way people seek comfort over challenge, security over growth, and approval over self-actualization. This is no accident. This is the product of a world that rewards conformity and punishes individuality. Nietzsche warned us, if you are not actively breaking free from the herd, then you are being shaped by it. And the herd's greatest weapon is fear. The fear of standing alone, the fear of failure, and most of all, the fear of discovering your own power. But what if I told you that the only way to escape this cycle is to embrace everything you've been taught to avoid? What if strength, ambition, and even conflict were not vices to be suppressed, but the very tools you need to reclaim your life? Because what Nietzsche understood, and what society desperately tries to keep hidden, is this: true greatness begins the moment you stop apologizing for your strength. And in the next section, we'll explore exactly how you can break free from the chains of weakness, silence the voices that hold you back, and step into the highest version of yourself. But be warned, once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Stay with us, because what comes next will change not only the way you see the world, but the way you see yourself. What if I told you that everything you think is you? Your thoughts, your beliefs, your fears, was never really yours to begin with. That the voice in your head, the one that tells you who you are, what you should do, what you can't do, was programmed into you before you ever had the chance to decide for yourself. From the moment you were born, you were given a name, an identity, a set of rules to follow. You were handed a script written by society, by your parents, by a culture that doesn't want you to think for yourself, but to function within its system. But here's the truth that no one wants you to know. The you that you think you are is not the real you. The illusion of self, Have you ever truly met yourself? Look at your reflection, look into your own eyes. How much of you is actually you? Your opinions, your values, even the things you love. How many of them were chosen freely, and how many were installed into you like software into a machine? Your favorite music, your definition of success, even your deepest insecurities, were they truly born from within you, or were they planted there by the world around you, by influences, by advertisements, by a society that thrives on keeping you predictable? Think about it. Every system, whether it's education, media, or culture, has one goal: to mold you, to make you fit in, to make you easier to control. And it worked, didn't it? Somewhere along the way, you stopped questioning, you stopped noticing. You fell into a rhythm. Wake up, scroll, obey, consume, sleep, repeat. You chase the things they tell you to chase. You fear the things they tell you to fear. You silence the thoughts that could set you free, because deep down, you've been trained to believe that thinking too much is dangerous. But here's the secret: it is dangerous. Not for you, but for them. Because the moment you start questioning reality, the moment you start seeing through the illusion, you become unpredictable. And an unpredictable mind is the one thing they cannot control. The hidden power of those who wake up. There's a reason history remembers those who refuse to conform. The rebels, the outcasts, the ones who dared to step outside the lines. They were called crazy, dangerous, even villains. But that's because society fears those who cannot be manipulated. Look around you. How many people are truly awake? How many people see the invisible walls around them? Most will live their entire lives following a path that was designed for them, believing that it was their choice all along. They will never realize that the limits they obey, the rules they never question, were placed there on purpose. But you are different, because something inside you brought you here. Something inside you is starting to see the cracks in the illusion. And once you see them, you can never unsee them. The question is, what will you do next? Because waking up is only the beginning. The next step, rewriting your own code. There is a way to break free, but it requires something most people aren't willing to do. You must be willing to let go of the person they told you to be. You must be willing to strip away every borrowed thought, every artificial limit, every false belief that was placed inside your mind without your permission. And that's terrifying, because without those things, who are you? Without the mask they gave you, what's left? That's what we're going to find out. But be warned, once you take this step, there's no going back. Most people will never even attempt it. They will stay plugged into the system, content with their illusions, never knowing what they could have been. But you wouldn't still be here if you were one of them. So, stay with us, because the next truth we reveal will shatter everything. You felt it before, haven't you? That nagging feeling, like something is off, like the world around you isn't quite what it seems. It happens in moments of silence, in the spaces between distractions, when the noise dies down, and for just a second, you catch a glimpse of something deeper, something hidden. And then, just as quickly, it slips away. Because the moment you start to question, the world finds a way to pull you back in. A new notification, a new trend, a new crisis. Distraction after distraction, keeping you looking everywhere but within. But why? Why is the system designed this way? Why does everything around you seem built to keep your mind occupied, overstimulated, exhausted, but never free? Because here's the truth they never wanted you to figure out. You were never supposed to wake up. The way you see reality, it's not by accident, it was engineered. From the moment you opened your eyes in this world, you were placed inside a carefully constructed illusion. A system that taught you what to think, but never how to think. A system that conditioned you to seek validation, to chase approval, to fear standing out. Because as long as you're following, As long as you're obedient, you're easy to control. And most people will spend their entire lives playing by rules they never even realized were there. But not you. Because you're here. And that means something inside you is waking up. The hidden code, how reality is programmed. Look around you. Every structure, every norm, every expectation, they didn't appear out of nowhere. They were designed. Your school didn't teach you how to build wealth. It taught you how to be an employee. Social media didn't connect you. It programmed you, shaping your desires, your insecurities, your attention span. Even the idea of success that you chase. Was it really your dream, or was it placed in front of you like a carrot on a stick to keep you running? You weren't just born into a world. You were born into a system that thrives when you don't question it. Because the moment you start to see through the illusion, the moment you start rewriting the code, you become a glitch. And glitches break the system. What happens when you become the glitch? Think about the people who changed history, the ones who saw through the lies, who questioned the norms, who refused to be controlled. They were never the ones who simply followed orders. They were the ones who disrupted, the ones who saw a different path, the ones who realized that reality is bendable. You're standing at the edge of something terrifying, because once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. You will start to see the invisible chains on those around you. You will recognize the patterns, the programming, the way the world is designed to keep people in line, and you will have a choice. Will you keep playing the game or rewrite the rules? Most people, when faced with the truth, will turn away. They will choose comfort over clarity, because waking up means letting go of everything you thought was real. But if you're still here, if you're still listening, then something inside you already knows the truth. You were never meant to follow. You were meant to break free. So stay with us, because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about reality itself. Reality isn't something you live in, it's something you create. Think about it. Every major shift in human history happened because someone dared to see differently, because someone questioned what everyone else accepted as normal. The people who broke the rules, the ones who shattered illusions, the ones who changed the game, they weren't special, they weren't chosen. They just realized something most people never do. That the world isn't fixed, that the rules aren't real. That reality is a mirror, and it bends to those who have the will to shape it. But here's where it gets dangerous. They don't want you to know this. The moment you understand that you are not just a player, but the coder of your own existence, you become unpredictable. And systems don't like unpredictability. That's why they keep you distracted, hooked on entertainment, drowning in information, addicted to scrolling, consuming, reacting, but never creating. Because the second you stop mindlessly absorbing and start questioning, really questioning, the world around you, everything changes. And that's why you're here. Because something inside you is starting to wake up. Because you can feel it, can't you? The cracks forming in the illusion. The sense that there's something more. Something just beyond what you've been told is possible. And you're right. But now comes the real question. Now that you see the cracks, what will you do next? Most people will walk away. Will you? Right now, you have a choice. You can forget this, go back to life as usual, accept the world as it was handed to you. Or you can go deeper. You can step beyond the illusion. Start seeing the codes, the patterns, the hidden forces shaping everything. You can begin rewriting your reality on your terms. If you've made it this far, then maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to be most people. So here's what you do next. Hit follow, stay with us, because this is just the beginning.